good. Sorry, I'm having to do this in the car because I just finished work and I'm not going to get home in time.
That's all right. No, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for taking the time. What do you what's the day job?
I am a mountaineering instructor. Dun, dun, dun. So like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You do that as a living. I mean, I saw you did that, but I wasn't sure that's
Yeah,
full-time job as well.
I do that for a living. Everyone says that. They're like, yeah, so this is your job. Like you do this,
Yeah,
you make money out of doing this. And yeah, people struggle to believe it as well. That's in fact, to be fair, I still struggle that people trust me enough to take them out in the hills anyway. So yeah, somebody made a decision that was a good idea apparently. So yeah, who knows?
so are you freelance? Do you work for a company?
Yeah. No, I freelance and then I just do a little bit of my own stuff every now and then, like everybody. But like, yeah, when like too much paperwork and I can never really be all that asked if I'm honest. So
No.
yeah.
And so people approach you and say, I want to go climbing.
Mm.
And is this like proper climbing with the ropes and stuff, or is this hiking?
Yeah.
Is this climbing Scarfell, or are we literally climbing?
It really varies. So yeah, I do a lot of climbing. So I work predominantly between the lakes and like the northwest of Scotland, which is awesome. I really love that. It's quite a demanding environment to be in, and you kind of like have to really be sort of switched on to that. Long days and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, I really enjoy it. So I predominantly sort of do like a lot of like mountaineering and like guided climbing, that sort of stuff, with a little bit of teaching every now and then thrown into there. So yeah, and that might just be people who have maybe gone out and done some like scrambling or a bit of climbing themselves and just want a bit of tuition at whatever level, whether they're like super new to it or they're like Jedis and just need some help on various things, or don't know, or people have got like aspirations to do something. That's always quite popular as well. So you might want to go and like just, I don't know, Instagram has a lot to answer for, doesn't it? Like, you know, people all sort of like want to go and do
on top of mountains.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like the little Chamonix is always a classic, or I don't know, one of those classic hills in the mountain, climbs in the mountains in the lakes or Scotland. So yeah, really lucky that I make a living out of that all year round, which is yeah, really cool, and get to sort of spend my days in the hills in one way or another. So yeah, no, it's really good. Very super fortunate for sure. Super fortunate.
Well, that's great. And how do clients find you? Do you have a website? You just,
I thought you were asking about me personally. I was like, I don't know. You'll have to ask them. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
They pop up somehow.
Yeah, they fucking pay me, so that's all that matters, isn't it? Do you know?
Yeah.
That's all the important bit. Yeah. I freelance a lot, and then yeah, people can just, I don't know, will reach out through whatever platform. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not very like, I don't know. I'm a pretty boring human being. I just sort of like do my own thing, and if I can, make life easy and just have good days, then that's all you can ask for, really, isn't it? Do you know?
You're not sponsored, are you?
I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm afraid not. No, I so like Tailwind. Don't know if you know Tailwind. Yeah, they like after the winter that I had, which was really great and like super good, they sort of like offered me some stuff, but I'm not like, you have to be like really like, I don't know, like throw your shit all over places, and like I'm not very into that. I'm a bit like introverted. I just go out and have big days in the mountains and do some cool stuff, and then sort of recover and do it again. So yeah.
Well, while we wait for Joe, I will just send him a message.
Yeah, no worries, that's fine.
He may have lost the link as well, or forgotten. But yes, I mean, let's talk about your winter. So solo unsupported midwinter BGR, second fastest. Was that this winter?
Yeah,
third.
January. Third fastest. So Finley Wild, Andy Berry, myself. So which is quite a cool achievement, to say the least.
I mean, I personally have a particular penchant, if you like, for the solo unsupported. To me, to me, being followed around by people, I mean, I'm sure it's great. It's a great day out, but in terms of a physical and mental challenge, I mean, you did both, obviously.
Yeah.
What was it like? What are the? I mean, obviously, there's massive differences in obviously in terms of carrying your stuff, but sort of mentally, what's it like going around? I mean, did you not do the winter one faster than the summer supported?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah. Funny enough.
So
Yeah.
how do you do that?
I don't. I don't actually know, to be honest with you. I just had a really good day, I think. Yeah. Just I put a lot, to be honest. The winter bob this year. Like I think anyone who sort of is close to me can kind of guess when I'm teeing up around, and you can sort of like, don't know, see on Strava that all of a sudden things start creeping up, and I don't know, I just sort of started thinking about it probably this time last year, and I was very much like cards close to my chest, no real sort of set plan, and quite strict in terms of like what a solo unsupported bob was going to have to look like. And I spoke quite closely with Martin Stone about that, and we both agreed really like on the ethics around that and what it might look like and how that was going to be best. And I'm really fortunate. My best mate is James Gibson, who's a phenomenal fell runner in his own right. And again, sort of chatted to him about that, but very much kept that to myself. And yeah, just had this like amazing day in the mountains, which is like obviously the bob is physically hard, but and there's no, and like hats off to anybody who does it, because you know it's a demanding time for sure. But then when you're on your own and you've got all of this stuff to juggle and all these plates that you're spinning, which you really sort of have to sort of want to be there and want to sort of do the round for sure. So yeah, here's Joe.
Sorry, let's I'll pause you briefly just to let Joe.
Yeah,
Well, because I want to talk more, find out more. While Joe logs in, because I was just reading that he did a sort of Steve Parr round, because that was something else you did, wasn't it?
yeah. So I've done a Winter Steve Parr Round.
Yeah. No, I was just looking at his sort of a par 61, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I don't know.
That's like 3/4 of it. How are you doing? There he is. Oh no, did you hear me?
Yeah, 3/4 of a par round.
Is that what it is? I don't know. What is a par 61?
I did basically what Steve Parr did way back when. Same peaks. Steve Parr did 61 peaks. Mine Stone identified 62. But the 62nd is Mardell Hill Bell, which you basically go over anyway. And it's all changed, as Jack will be able to tell us. Anyway,
Anyway.
So sorry, Jack was just telling me about his solo unsupported winter Bob Graham, and I was asking about the sort of differences between between that and just doing a normal one, being escorted round in summer. But actually, I should stop there also, because I'm being very rude and I haven't actually introduced either of you. So I should do that, just so that people are going, who the hell is she talking to? Who is Joe? And who is Jack? So, and I can't remember, I can't see. So Joe Faulkner, thank you for joining me. Do I need to introduce you? The legend that is behind NAV4. And what is it? Is it 4.5 dragons? You like to call it 4.1,
4.3.
4.3.
Yeah, I messed up a few years ago. Yeah.
That's it. And I mean, that's probably the sort of the most famous thing that you're
legendary. Yeah. Legendary apart from the tea drinking. Plus I got the second slowest Steve Parr time.
The second, okay. Yeah, that's good.
Things have moved on a lot in the past few years.
An SKT. An escapade.
Nearly.
And
I think
Jack,
sorry, go on.
well, and Jack Oliver, lakes-based mountaineering instructor, mountain rescue. Yes, you just joined Patterdale, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, you've done some really interesting stuff. So including the Winter Steve Parr Round, only the second person to have done so, and then both the solo and unsupported and supported BGR.
I didn't know you'd done that, Jack. When did you do that?
Boxing Day this year.
All right, well done. It's great house
for the BG. Yeah, I did it on Boxing Day. Yeah, this year. Yeah, got a window and took it.
No, sorry, I meant Steve Parr.
I did it not the winter, just gone the winter before. So January, whatever that was, 23, 24. Yeah, I did it in winter. So
right.
Yeah. I mean and you've got the record for it.
For the winter round, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay, so well, let's stay on the Steve Parr round before we completely unravel. Let's stick to one topic. So, Joe, you telling me you'd done 61?
So I'll tell you a quick background to it. Just
go on then, give us the history of it. Who is Steve Parr?
Steve Parr was a person called Steve Parr, believe it or not. And long story short is I knew him vaguely through association way back in the 80s when I was still quite young. And the history is that, well, two things relevant to all this is he was a friend of a rival to Martin Stone in terms of winter Bob Graham or Bob Grahams and winter Bob Grahams. Amazing mountaineer. Ultimately, Steve Parr disappeared in the Himalayas on a solo trip.
Oh no, really?
Basically, Steve. This is in 1992. No, sorry, about 86, 87. Martin Stone's articles are obviously very detailed and very precise because Martin is the keeper of all things records like this. And a lot of people don't know Martin Stone. Is Martin Stone SI whatever, but anyway, he's the oracle.
Yeah.
So Martin was. Sorry, I'm jumping around. So Steve Parr and Martin were both going for solo winter Bob Grahams or winter Bob Grahams, and I basically got to know Steve when he was doing this, and he, because of, as Jack will explain, you're watching the weather and watching the ground conditions. It never quite happened for Steve, although he did do a round unsupported solo and allegedly messed up his timing. So on the last peak on Skiddaw, going to the way around, he thought he was out of time and he walked out. He wasn't. So a bit of sleep monsters, sort of, he should have gone over and done it. And a few weeks later or something, Martin Stone went round. And in between, I paced, Steve went solo, but I paced just the middle leg because he just wanted to get it done. So I did leg 3. It was the hardest day I've ever had on the fells because trail breaking, as was Steve. And I was just knackered. I was very fit and strong then. Not fast, but fit and strong. So anyway, Steve went on from that. Steve came up with the Steve Parr Round, which is the 2,500 foot peaks in the Lake District, which he wanted. He saw as the next step from the Bob Graham. So like, rather than 2 laps of Bob Graham, he wrote an article called Beyond the Bob Graham. And he wanted he wanted called the Steve Parr Round, but he wanted this round to be the 48-hour challenge. And as I say, a year or 2 later, he disappeared in the Himalayas, so it never got the traction.
That's so sad. Literally, he disappeared.
Well, he'd been on the climbing trip with some mates. He stayed on to do some other exploring and then disappeared. It was a bit strange at the time because he was getting divorced from his wife, who talked with my partner at the time. So it was a little bit facing someone on the fell who, friend of a friend is getting divorced from your friend sort of thing. So. But it's the love of mountains which keeps us all together, isn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I went off and I basically just did what Steve did. The order of the peaks, the route. The only thing different was I started the Threlkeld rather than Keswick because I wanted to start close to home. Started at a bus stop, and I did the order that Steve did.
So, Jack, what did you do? How did it differ, and how does it still remain around so to speak, that goes on into the records?
So it hasn't really evolved all that much, to be honest with you. I started in Motorhall and finished in Motorhall. It still goes through the same peaks. I think it just takes in one extra now, but I don't think that and there's been a few people that have done it. Some amazing people have gone and done the round, and everyone's sort of made slight changes for whether that's just a different line or a different route. Some people have dropped into Wasdale and done it differently. I opted not to, and had like a much longer leg, whereas some people have sort of had little tweaks and stuff like that. But there's a magnitude of reasons for that. Conditions on the day, on the ground, and stuff like that. So yeah, no, for me, it started and finished in Motorhall in Keswick, which is a really amazing feeling. But yeah, I think that hasn't really changed too much.
So the challenge is the 61 or 62. I mean, Ilbel and Mardale, they're next to each other, aren't they? So
it's not. I should know, shouldn't I? It's basically a lump just between Darty Fell and High Street that you go over. It's
you have to go over it.
Martin's route. Martin, it's the same route effectively, but Martin saw it as a separate peak rather than a flat bit.
Yeah.
Steve thought that. But there was a change with Martin Stone because he identified this figure of 8 route.
Right.
Rather than the big loop. And I only got to this recently because Martin was going to do this in August, September 1992. That was his next big challenge, but he didn't do it because he got asked to do the Dragon's Back race at 3 weeks' notice, which was his last big thing, and finished him off. So
he never got to do it?
No, he came up with this figure of 8 route, which then other people have used. And then like Paul Wilson, there's a Paul Wilson variation, which he thought, don't go into Wasdale and stuff like this. So that's a potted history, and perhaps
So there's no set route. It's just those peaks in whatever.
Well, there's become set routes because over a period, what we've got 30 years and 12, 15 people have done it. Then the best lines have been worked out and bedded in. So as I say, I just went to do what Steve did.
Yeah. And is it like a BG where you've kind of got to come in under 24 hours? So you got to come in under 48 hours for this?
Well, Steve just wanted it under 48, and it's gone, what's the record now? 32 hours or something. So Steve did 43 hours way back when, in 87, whatever it was. And then it was never really done. It just didn't get the traction. Steve is a very private man.
Is it over 100 miles? How far is it?
190 kilometers I clapped in. So
really?
Just over 90k. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean that's going to have a much narrower attraction.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's,
a finite amount of people that like moving for 47 odd hours, I think, or even 32 hours for that matter, especially at that pace.
Over that terrain, the knowledge you've got to have, even if it is supported.
Totally, for sure.
That's big.
It's a good 2 days out for sure. I think it's a good round. I think it's great, and like it's got a lot more traction I think recently with like people doing it, or like maybe not so much myself, but there's other people that are a little bit more, I don't know, Instagram-y and have kind of like, I don't know, thrown it around a little bit. So there are people going out, I think, and teeing it up, and it's been done like solo unsupported. Mingma did it solo unsupported.
Matt Neal's just done it as well.
Yeah, so I was going to say someone's just done it recently, haven't they? Unsupported.
Who has?
Matt Neal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt doesn't shout
about anything. Is this your Matt? Is it the Matt I met who helps you? Oh, yeah. He's prolific, isn't he?
He doesn't mention anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I threatened to interview him actually, because gosh, I bet he's done some stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Gosh, and yes, sorry, Jack, but I mean, you have 1 or 2 followers on Instagram yourself. I mean, I'm sure you're responsible for some.
Don't know about that.
For some of those amazing pictures that we all want to, experience the top of those lovely Scottish hills and what have you.
Yeah. I say it all the time, but I am super lucky for sure, and I know it. Like I get to take ace people into ace places to do ace things and sort of just facilitate giving people a really great experience. So for me, that's kind of like what it's all about, really. Do you know, like, so yeah, again, I'm just super fortunate to be able to do that and sort of spend my time in the mountains. So actually, the bleeping you can hear is the flipping Strava going mental. So yeah, yeah, no, I'm really fortunate.
And did I see somewhere that you wrote that you were sort of having a bit of a break after your epic winter?
Yeah,
running,
no,
but something was being planned for the rest of the year or something.
If I had a penny for every time somebody asked me that, Jesus Christ. Yeah, fucking hell.
Well, you put it on social media, that's it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I came off the Bob Graham this year, obviously, which was really good, and I feel like I worked really hard towards that, and was extremely patient, waiting for the window. And Kim Collinson, who sort of helped with the coaching around that a little bit more, was, I think, probably pulling his teeth out about the amount of times I was like, I'm going tomorrow, and then I'd get to Keswick and be like, the fucking weather shit, I'm not going tomorrow. And then yeah, so I obviously had a great day out on Boxing Day, which was so good, and then just decided that because it's always funny with these rounds, like, and I'm sure that Joe will know, and plenty of other people for sure who just go running because they love it. It's like you do a round and then you've not even, like, you haven't even got your shoes off, and people are like, well, what's next? What are you going to do? And actually I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to go public and just say, like, actually, I'm going to take a bit of time off here. Like, I've got a busy summer ahead, and I need to make sure that, like, I'm recovering and just giving myself the time to sort of, like, just relax and just enjoy going climbing and being in the mountains. And
so you've been doing quite a bit of climbing, haven't you? Big routes in Scotland with
yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, so just heading into the hills as often as I can, and climbing a little bit, which has been really nice. You don't ever really lose the fitness, I don't think, but just to not have that, like, I don't know, not pressure, because it's definitely not pressure, but just that expectation of that. And we sort of spoke about James earlier. Myself and James are both super close and really good friends, and he's very much a similar mindset to me. It was like, do you know what, just need to chill out a little bit. And he's had a much bigger flipping summer than me and winter than me. So, yeah, but yeah, no, back to it now and teeing a few things up. But what that is and what that looks like, we'll have to wait and see until I put it on Instagram or Strava or something, because I'll just see what happens and how I feel.
Am I right in thinking you don't do many short races? You don't really do racing?
No, I don't. Do you know what? I don't race at all. I've done like 3, and I thought it was really good fun. I really enjoyed it, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I keep wanting to do like Tour de Helvellyn and all the classics in the lakes, and maybe I'll get around to a bit older, or I've got a bit more time. But for the
I really admire people who don't race. I think it's one of the problems is people are racing every weekend, and to free up time to go and do things you really want to do, whether it's a winter Bob Brown or a big rock route in Scotland, you've got to stop doing the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't do both.
It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, and I've had some amazing work this year, but where actually I've some absolutely stunning places where I've guided on, like, Stour and like the bigger mountains of like Coolin and Moorcock, and I've had to really work, almost train for that so that I can deliver that. I think people sometimes don't see that aspect of like running and training for running, but also being able to go and competently guide people requires a skill set in its own right and training in its own right. So just going climbing in the mountains, and
it's probably more healthy. I mean, people
just
run constantly. It's just not good for us.
No, it's not.
You'll be getting all sorts of different fitness and strength from climbing that will still benefit your running.
Totally.
Again.
This has always been the thing for me about running in the mountains. It's fell running and long distance, whether you call it ultra mountain running, is a branch of mountaineering rather than running. Totally. I spend a lot of time with trail runners, teaching trail runners to navigate, but not being disparaging to them, but the top end, the far end of what Jack's doing, what I used to do was basically a branch of mountaineering. It's proper full on stuff out there.
It's skills, isn't it? It's knowing what to do when you're out in the mountains.
Yeah, totally. I think I don't know. For me, it's always just been an enjoyment. It's like it's been something that I just love, and I don't ever find a hardship in being in those places. Obviously, I definitely question my life choices sometimes. I feel like I should maybe get a different job or a hobby, or take up fucking badminton or something. But like, but it's genuinely no hardship, and I really do enjoy it. And I think actually, when I recognise in myself that maybe I've stopped enjoying it, then that's my cue to just take a break and to just step away. Like, we live in the lakes; it's a phenomenal place. Can be about halfway in 20 minutes. You know, like I can enjoy it. If I'm stopping to enjoy that, probably doing it for the wrong reasons, and that's just your thoughts are, Joe. But that's my take on it. Like, you know,
Yeah, totally.
Just enjoy being in the hills. You know, so for me, it's not like it's never a hardship. It's just good fun. And
Can I just ask you about Anna Wells's Monroe Winter as well? Did you do
go for
with Anna?
Yeah, I was really lucky with that. So Anna's a really good friend, and she obviously I did the bar, but she followed, which was really cool. And I just had a bit of time off over winter, just sort of being away with the team and done some courses and all that sort of jazz. And then just sort of said, "Hey, look, got a bit of time off. What can I do to help, and how can I help?" And I think I did about 8 or 9 days in total across her round, which is, you know, in the grand scheme of things, is probably not a huge amount, but definitely did some big days out with her. You know, we were sort of out every day and sort of just helped out towards that. And she was a real joy to be with, you know, and real fun. And like, she just sort of was like, great, cool. I need to go to that Monroe. I'm going to follow you. And away we went. And we were in some pretty exciting conditions for sure. Some real testing, like mentally, really resilient building days. Like, it was pretty wild.
Something else I like to talk to her about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, I've got an article. I've got an interview in print that I'm going to load tonight. That someone's done for me. So
nice.
It's really, really interesting, and what a thing to do. And as you say, the resilience, but she certainly comes across as incredibly positive and a sort of strong person.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, like the times that I was with her, in full credit where credit's due, you know, some of the days, like I was looking at it going, I do not fucking need to do this. And she is just like, cool, jacket on, big jacket on, great, let's go. And like, and like, there's definitely moments for sure, but I would say that, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, like a good 98% of the time, she just had a smile on it. And it was just like that really high level of acceptance of this is what I've signed up for, and I'm just going to enjoy it, and I'm going to have fun. And you know, she seemed to have like a really great ability to stay switched on all the time, because you just have to be in that environment. There's no other option. You have to be, in my opinion.
But again, just for those, you know, no fixed route, no fixed schedule. It's very much playing it by ear, looking at the forecast, looking at weather patterns, moving around.
And it requires the confidence of having those mountaineering skills. You know, she knows what she's doing. She's a very experienced mountaineer.
Yeah,
totally. You know, you guys would do stuff that I wouldn't dream of doing because I simply don't have the skill set. But it's very different when you do have it. You know what you're doing, and you can get out there despite
I think it's a big thing is for people to just understand that that's like developed over a long period of time, and like progressively as well. Do you know, like you don't just go and do like a winter Monroe's or a Steve Parr or anything. It's progressive. Do you know what I mean? It's a natural progression of like that typical what is next, what's the next sort of natural step up, and like so. I think certainly for that Anna, she had like an amazing winter before and spent a lot of time like really sort of just getting out in the hills, and which she does anyway. She's a bit of an addict in that aspect. I think I'm bad, or some other people are bad. She's a whole fucking different level. So she did really, really well, and actually she won't mind me saying this, I'm sure. She's quite meticulous in her planning and like where she's going to be and how she's going to do it. And she was always trying to maximize the efficiency of the weather. Sometimes the weather just plays its hand, and you're just like, I've just got to pick the lesser of the evils and just go with it. But she was really, really good at that, and like, you know, she knew where she wanted to be and how she was going to do it. And some days we'd be out for 6-7 hours, and then we'd come back down, have a brilliant, like, great, let's just go and grab one more while we're going past it, and we'd add another 4 or 5 hours, so she did it, like, full credit again where credit's due. She did phenomenal, and it was amazing to sort of play a really sort of small part in that whole bigger round, and actually in the downtime that I needed. And she probably doesn't know that, but yeah, it was really nice to sort of hang out with her and just be a part of that that round for sure.
Yeah, logistically it must be a big challenge as well to put it all together, and because it's over such a large area, to think that, well, I've got to get over here to get those, and when I can do it, and the travel time, and the
it's flipping bonkers. She just did so well, and like how she managed that, I don't know. I mean, she just tried to stay in the same places and do all that sort of stuff. So she was absolutely class, to be fair to her. Like, and any time that I was with her, she sort of really had a good idea of what she was going to do. Sometimes she had to go a bit further than she'd like, and that would be an early start. Typically, we would be up at 3 o'clock in the morning and aiming to walk 5 o'clock, out for 12 hours.
I was up there for a couple of weeks, and both times I was sort of watching the dot, as it were.
Yeah,
there wasn't actually a dot to watch, but working out where she might be, and sort of hoping. I mean, there's no way I'd be able to help if I couldn't keep up, but it'd be nice to sort of see her somewhere on a hilltop or something like that, but it didn't work out for us.
Yeah, no,
I'm also conscious of just parachuting in on somebody else's adventure, really, uninvited. It's.
She would have welcomed it for sure.
Yeah,
she would have welcomed it.
Yeah,
she'd have welcomed any help, and that she was always grateful to see people, and like even if we were just moving on the hill, people seemed to know, and she always stopped and chatted and was super friendly, and that. So really well done. Yeah, no, it was good for me. It was ideal.
So a bit different to your solo unsupported Winter Round unboxing day.
Yeah,
a little bit different. Yeah, a little bit, but nonetheless, really.
Yeah, I mean, you were just out for the day.
Yeah, what's that? What was it like? Yeah, a month and a half, whatever she did. Yeah, no, Jesus Christ, yeah, like she did.
Joe, tell me about the clients. You did one of your mountain skills days yesterday, did you, or did you do a recce? What were you doing?
There's two things going on. We had the monthly course yesterday. Yeah, a long time ago.
So at the other end of the Jack and Anna extreme, we've got the people that choose to come on your courses. What sort of people are coming on your courses, and what do they want to learn? And do you think are they at the beginning of the funnel?
Possibly, but I think people finally come on a course after quite a few years, and they suddenly think, hang on, I really need to learn this skill. Or the classic thing with the 2-day mountain marathons, which have been in decline recently, but with people often they do several with a partner, and they toll along without a clue where they're going with a map. I won't say compass, because map and compass is a big turn off for people, but and they think, hang on, it's not. We've got one handout, and it's on the top of it says it's not rocket science, and that was mentioned yesterday. It's just a skill. It's like learning to cook. I often say this. Map skills is like learning to cook, and then we live in a world of. You've heard me say this before, GPX files, and it's like, I'm not going to cook. I've got to take away meal. And the compass is your favourite kitchen knife, which you slightly veg with, and then prod things in the pan with. Anyway, I could waffle on about that, but I'm not here to do that.
Well, why not? That's exactly what you're here to do.
What was interesting in Jack is, people like Jack, he's a good article in a rival magazine, shall we say, Fellman's magazine. And Martin Stone is the fond of all knowledge of record keeping in this niche world of 24-hour rounds and stuff. It's out there, and there's Jack was one of 3 or 4 or 5 people written about, and dare I say, Jack was flagged up as the current generation who are pushing the boundaries of.
I'm not pushing anything. I'm definitely not. Yeah, I'm not pushing anything. That's for sure.
We have people pushing.
There's people doing more. Yeah, way more. Yeah, I just like good days on the mountains. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like pushing anything. I'm just really fortunate to be around people who are happy to challenge me and to keep me psyched. That's definitely not the future of anything. That's for sure. It might be the future. The next future of hospitalized, flipping broken men, but definitely not the future of anything special. That's for sure.
Oh no,
I can go.
But you learn stuff as well. It talks about skills, whether it's Anna, like yourself, and watching the weather and just building up the experience.
Totally.
We are creatures who learn by doing, and it's very difficult to teach someone.
Yeah, 100%.
You learn by doing. So, we've done these courses for 25 years now, and it's a learning opportunity. Yeah. It really is. It's excellent facilitation. And there's a mixture of people.
Interestingly, on that.
Sorry, go on.
Interestingly, on that, I actually started life as I'm on a course, believe it or not, on a hill skills mountain course in the lakes about a decade ago.
Really?
So we all start. 100%. Yeah, people don't know that. Yeah, so I did like a hill and mountain skills course with Winter Adventure, who I work for quite a bit now on and off. And then so was on that. Didn't turn around to the bloke that was on it, Andy, and said, how do I do this for a living? And then he sat down and told me, and it kind of all spiraled out of control from there. But quite literally spiraled out of control. And in a couple of weeks later, I moved to the lake. So like, I think there's a lot of value in the course. I'm going to say that because obviously I deliver them, and I know you do, and I'm obviously going to be pro courses. But I think there's a lot of value in them for sure. And people genuinely do get a lot out of it, whether it's trail running and navving. I'm all about map and compass for sure. I won't lie, I do use a GPX, but that's just my personal choice. I think there's a lot of value in it. So,
it's not one or the other. It's just how things are evolving.
We should, all the tools be used at the right time.
Yeah, but there is a mountain ethics as well. I know jumping around.
Yeah.
Listen to Finley Wild, when he did his dart bob, was him and Shane were out on the same day, and they decided just to go traditional and not have any GPS. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's a different thing because the Bob Graham Round, they've done several. You do know the ground quite well. You are looking for little trods and things, and you get familiar with certain boulders, don't you, and certain cairns you reckon.
Yeah.
So,
There's little nicks and crannies, isn't there? And like, I remember being on Scarfell a while ago, and it was like one of those sort of classic, I say classic, it's nothing classic about it. It was flipping horrendous. Like, you put your hand in front of your head and it just disappears. And the clients thought I was a legend. And I just didn't have the heart to tell them that it was because I'd done it a million times, and I just recognized a rock on the floor, which told me I was in the right place. But I was like, yeah, I'm a legend. You're right. That's it. I'm absolutely I'm a legend.
Take it. Yeah, but
never mind the fact that I've done it.
You have built up a huge amount of experience, and the skill, it is a skill. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But it has to start.
Do either of you find sort of penny dropping moments with your clients, like Jack's own?
Definitely. I mean, yesterday I'll give you a quick spiel. I was in our village hall, that, Kate, and there were 6 clients working with 2 tutors, and I was actually just making the brews and doing the washing up, so listening in at the start and finish and the reviews. I was making some plastic bike boxes in the village hall. And there's penny dropping moments, and Stu was mentioned. You can basically hear some pennies dropping in the first 45 minutes, and people they realise that things they sort of were taught 40 years ago, perhaps for some people in geography and D&V, it comes back to them, and then it is just all right. The classic thing yesterday was all the squares are the same on the maps or all the kilometre. I never knew that. And that was someone who's been operating the hills for 10 years. Not UK.
No.
And there was like debate about kilometres versus miles. And like diagonally across a square is 1.41, isn't it? So across a kilometre square, across a grid square, about a mile. And you see people thinking, so if I run at 5k now, and people start to do that sort of thing. But then other people are switching off because they don't do maths. They were told they're crap at school. But then you get out there.
Can they then, go on the pictures?
Yeah, you get out there, and people are very visual learners. They get out there and they start relating the green bits, which are trees, the blue bits, which are water, and they start to. There's lots of penny dropping moments, and we know that people go away having learned loads, but with a lot more to learn. It's the start of the journey. You're not going to teach someone to cook in 3 hours, 4 hours.
No.
You give them some recipes or some techniques, and then they got to go out and do what we do, what Jack does. Not necessarily that extreme. And the frustration for me is people who I must practice. I sent an email out to all these people this morning. Get out there and practice. go off the beaten track, go somewhere, even go to your local patch with your map. But if you're constantly going to do what you've done before, whether it's mountain biking or trail running or whatever, you're not going to develop that new skill. So we have to stop doing something, continue a lot of what we are doing, and start doing new stuff.
But how can they translate a day in the Lake District with you guys and then go back to Milton Keynes and you say we'll go and practice it?
Well, because I've been to Milton Keynes once. I got a panic attack because I couldn't remember where I put the car. But I presume around. No, I've been through Milton Keynes on the canal. And it's really leafy. Living in Milton Keynes, right? Well,
I don't know, but
you get a map. You print off. I don't know what Jack does because he's younger than me. But I print off A4 sections of maps for our courses. Print off that section for where you live or near where you live. Go for a run around there just for your map. The danger is if you stop and look at a map, someone will say, "Are you lost?" And you're not lost.
Can
just
you
trying
help
to
me?
practice. Can you help me? And then do it. Or go somewhere either or somewhere new and be a bit brave.
Actually, Lowland is quite Lowland. I found Lowland quite hard actually because you're suddenly trying to find a footpath that goes through somebody's garden or down the side of a house, which is not marked.
Yeah.
And
the toughest walk I led recently, not thinking week last Friday on the 3 Peaks of Yorkshire, which we do rarely, was the week before where we linked a charity I help with at T-Base Services to their other base at Kendal. So walking 20 miles cross country on footpaths which are very little used. So it's wet grass and muddy and chinky style to footpath to style. It's all there. I enjoyed the nav. And again, people, how do you know where you're going? Well, I've got my glasses on. I print the maps double scale so I can see it. But that was hard work because it wasn't a regular route. Whereas someone comes up and says, "Oh, I've got a GPX file for the Fairfield Horseshoe, so I'm just going to run around that on the watch."
Yeah,
they're having fun. I'm not knocking it. I'm not being cynical, but they're not actually in tune with the map. And then they're not seeing that perhaps, if you were going well, you can drop off there and go and put seat sandal in and come back up just to be a bit hardcore about it, or do an extension because they're tuned in, they're just channeled into doing what's on the sort of menu of their
that's a good point actually. There's no going off route, is there?
Yeah, and that comes on to the safety that we do now. I've got the other email I sent out this morning. There's a recce next weekend for Lakes in a Day, along Helvellyn, the Dodds, well, not the Dodds, but Helvellyn, Fairfield, Ambleside. And on that, I can picture, I know Jack will, and you will as well, 5 or 6 routes onto and off that route, which you might choose to do to recce that route, or have to do on the event or on a recce to bail out in bad weather. So rather than say, this is the file, this is what we're going to do on Saturday, starting at 9:25 and finishing at 4:40, you can't prescribe that. You've got to be flexible. And that's what Jack did on Boxing Day. That's what Finlay Wild and Shane did whenever they went out and tried to do whatever they wanted to do on the 21st of December. And be flexible.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, completely agree. I do think there is a place for it. I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely a place for it. It's just understanding where the limitations are for it, and we'd be naive to sit there and say we don't live in this era of information, because we do.
We do,
know that. And as mountaineering professionals at whatever level, we've kind of got to contend against that a tiny little bit, haven't we? Because people can just go and download a Strava and, I don't know, if I can walk over somewhere wherever they want to go, not need a guide. And for me, it's more about where's the value in that. And actually, if you can understand what the map is doing, and you can add more, take away more from your day, but understanding that there is a place for that, it's just where's that place and how that's going to look. I personally, I get good kicks out of it. I mean, like, I was on Sky the other day and we pulled a map out and the clients were like, "What are you doing with that?" I was like, "I don't know, I'm gonna have a look where I'm going." I know where I am and I've got the ability to use the tool, so I might as well. But actually, we sat and it led to some really cool conversations about it because if you look at a 1 in 25,000 of the Coonan Ridge, it's it's hard work, Whereas actually pulling a 1 in 40 or 1 in 50 and explaining the difference in it, and it led to a really cool conversation. And then, sure enough, the next day, the client's sitting there with this beautiful laminated map that actually may or may not flew away. But that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, no, there's a total place for it. In a running context, I think that there's definitely, they're on watches, aren't they? People put the routes on the watches, but I think that just having a map and a even a compass. I guess we see this sometimes. I don't know what your thoughts are, Jay. I see this. I do see people with maps and compasses. I think it's great. I'm like, cool. You've got a map and compass. Well done. That's boss. Do you know how to use it? Because you're currently looking at it upside down, and I'm taking that as a no. Sorry.
Writing an article for a mandatory Marmite all about kit checks, and
right.
The maverick in me wants me to come out publicly and say there's no point in having a map and compass on my kit list anymore, because 95% of people will not ever use it. And I've heard, what's the point of me taking it? I don't know how to use it. And I think, well, if you can't use a compass, it's like you can't use a sharp knife. You shouldn't be doing it. But that's what we live in. But we can't, because if 13 Valleys is coming up, I had a meeting about that today. And if I said that out publicly in a meeting, I'll get shot down. Well, what would Mountain Rescue say? Your safety advisor is saying take it off the kit list. So it's two items which 2011, when I first did the Lakes 100, they give you a route book and a map at registration. It went straight on the back of my rucksack in the sleeve, never came out for 105 miles. I'm carrying mandatory kit. So I can get very obtuse about things like that. But a lot of us love maps. Yesterday's joy, people were switching on to maps. They thought something was scary, and when they got outside, did about an hour and a half inside because the weather was miserly. And Stu likes to tell horrible jokes as well. But you get outside, and then I watched them go up the hill, and they start to think, oh, green bit, that's the field. And they piece it all together. There is a joy to be had. Totally. But also, if you take the bigger ventures, if we go back to, how did Martin Stone come up with the figure 8 route to Steve Parr? When Steve came up with his loopy loop route, think, hang on, that was by looking at the maps, looking at the ground, thinking, is there a better way of doing this? Obviously, pre-computers and pre-GPS. I'm sure Wilson used some tests to evaluate the height, gain, and distance around the Wasdale route. But it's by studying maps that we get these adventures.
It's interesting to say that, because literally before this, I've got around. I'm teeing up around. I'm not going to say any more than that. Partly just because that's where I am. But interesting, I've literally just sat. I've got a GPX of the route that someone's done, and I'm like doing exactly that. I know it's digital, but that's kind of the way it works, and it's on your laptop. You can sort of transport, and it's convenient. And exactly that, looking at the lines and going, okay, can I change that? Does that work? Does it not work? Because we all have our own. But so I suppose linking that back to running, I suppose people hopefully and probably also more so now than ever, I think, are taking the time out to go and buy the maps to recce the routes. I think that's again a really good thing. People going out and wrecking Bob Graham rounds, to be honest with you. It's so well trodden nowadays, isn't it, that you kind of you can't just I remember when I first did I did the climb out of Felkeld up I forget the name of the flipping hill now. What's the hill, the first hill of Bob Graham, and the second hill? Cloughhead, sorry. And I remember, that's a massive scar now, isn't it? You can kind of see it just drive through, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And no word of a lie, probably about 9 years ago when I first sort of heard the Bob Graham, and I ran the second leg, and it took me about 8.5 hours or whatever it was that it took me. I thought they were taking the piss when I was going up that hill. I was like, and I remember messaging James, who had not really met at that point, going, this can't be right. There's no physical way that this goes up this. This is a fucking, sorry to swear. I should apologise to anybody listening to this, shouldn't I? I remember just saying, taking and you can fill in the blanks there. And I suppose it's again, you went.
Well, that's your fun and naivety at the time, and it's straight climb. I remember the same. There's a trod up Steel Fell now. There's trods everywhere. Yeah. But also from an environmental point of view, then suddenly the path appears. You know,
Yeah.
and it's footfall from various events and or activities, and suddenly, you know, the grass, the surface of the grass is gone, and water drains down, and it's in, and it happens really quickly. It's like overnight. It seems sometimes you're driving the 66, think, shit, look at that, could become a path.
Yeah, literally, Joe. No word of lie, mate. Right? Like, you know, I've been here a decade. I know that's not a long time in comparison to some people, but it was only probably say again.
Yeah, it made me feel old. That's why we wanted you on. We wanted some young blood.
I do you know what? I didn't notice it until about Easter, and I was like, "There's a path going up the side of the cliff," and I was like, "I can't. I've got no grounds to stand on that because I've gone up and down it myself." But like, yeah, it's you know,
no one's fault. It's just what we're doing to the world generally, isn't it? It's not blame culture.
No, that's it. And you know, people are out enjoying themselves and having a good day, and I think that's always a good thing if you ask me personally.
I find it fascinating. I've not too involved in Bob Brown rounds anymore because I'm so old and fat, can't even go to hell. But when I was still actively doing a lot of pacing, because they talk about, have you done the official route or you haven't done that route? And you think, well, there isn't an official route really.
Yeah.
You know, when Harvey's produced a map and put some yellow lines on the piece of paper, then it was like, oh,
yeah. And even then, I know there's lines on it that are much better, if I'm brutally honest.
And lines evolve and become fashionable and change, and an eroded line suddenly isn't the line to take.
The landscape changes, doesn't it?
Landscape change. Yeah, absolutely. Rocks and things move. You know, it is always changing, especially after winters. We know that, don't we? Like it's evolving and changing. You know, and also everyone has their own preferences, and like the line up the Bay Fell, like the BG line, that's flipping like zigzags all over the place. So how people don't end up on like the band or something, I don't know. But like, yeah, it's people just have just go up, don't they, and do it, I suppose. Yeah. And the bobs, that's why you do it in winter, and you don't have to worry about like smashing the ground loads. So go and do winter rounds, people. It's way better.
It's the pinnacle, isn't it?
Rescue going, no.
No, it's the pinnacle.
I can hear Paradale Mountain Rescue right now going, you bastard.
It's what people aspire to. I think I reread Martin, the magazine today, and there's certainly Martin Stone's era there. We're very inspired by Ronald Mesner.
Yeah.
In terms of solo, the pinnacle, as I saw it, was people climbed Everest in whether it's 1924, 1953, and then get harder and harder routes and smaller teams, less supported, more continuous, more alpine, and then ultimately Mesner goes and solos Everest without oxygen. What do you do next? That's what I say. Moving in the mountains, but that is an example of peak achievement to me.
And is that what's happening with trail running? Generally as a whole, is that, that with our races going down, are people perhaps looking for more unique and different challenges?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't race, so I can't really answer from that. I think that from a rounds point of view, I think that people are obviously always going to want to progress potentially, and like any sport, if it's climbing or whatever, I suppose the limit, whatever that looks like, whatever that terminology is always going to get stretched. It's always going to get pushed, and people are going to get faster as sports science particularly is evolving, and younger people are coming through or are faster, and technology is evolving with them at such a great pace. Yeah, I think people are, and I think that from a rounds point of view, we'll see that those times will start getting knocked off, every other year, potentially even every year. And that,
massive step forward this year with seven winter Bob Graham's done.
Totally.
Midwinter or true winter, which is still a bit confusing to a lot of people. But
and
that's
the whole.
It was 33 years before someone repeated what Martin did. And perhaps that's because it was it's a bit like, that big gap between Joss's. No, hang on. Steve Birkinshaw went out 28 years after Joss did the Wainwrights, and he wasn't the first person to do the Wainwrights, by the way. But and then there's all of a sudden the floodgates sort of open a bit, and it becomes achievable for people. But the other side of that coin is people are just entering mass participation events, and some friends of mine they just done. I thought it was a joke. They just done lap descents of Snowdon this weekend, Snowdon 24.
I've seen that.
The ultimate trail adventure. I thought, really?
Yeah, Christ Jesus. I'm not going to say anything.
It's the opposite. It's
Are they still your friends? Are they being struck off the Christmas list?
I'm just going to
not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? But
Well,
yeah, it is her favourite mountain.
it's physically challenging.
Yeah. And it's how people buy. It's the life choices we make, isn't it? That's why I'm envious of Jack and the time, energy to get up to Scotland and do that stuff. Whereas, some people haven't got that, and it's easier to click buy and enter events. And
I think
all consumers.
I think that's awesome. Like, not that I can't, again, I haven't really done any real races or anything of worth note, but like, and I think it's awesome, right? Because people are going out and running and enjoying it, whether they're going and doing, the Tour de Havelin or whatever that is. I think it's great because people are just going out and they may or may not be changing their lifestyle, probably are changing their lifestyle quite a bit. And there's a bigger impact there, isn't there, on that in terms of, if they're going to start training, they're getting a coach or they're changing their diet, etc. We know that there's a magnitude of sort of benefits there in that. But I think that's awesome. And it might be they just do the 150K or the marathon and that's them. See you there. Thanks very much. Box stuff on a bucket list done. And like, fair play to them. I think it's great, it's awesome. And from experience, it just spirals out of control, doesn't it, from there, really? They're going to do the whatever round it is, whatever it is in the lakes, and then they'll see the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, they're sitting there asking me to support them on leg one of Bob Graham or something, So
it's certainly addictive, and as I say, it all depends on personality types as well. So I think there's been a big change in, when I first started, the likes of, if I like Steve Parr, Martin Stone were both very private people in some ways, and very small number of people were doing things then. And then, go on 30 years, and it's a very competitive market now to sell events, and it's become, I know my friends on Snowdon they had a great time partying. There was 3 or 4 of them. They're doing laps, and it's very a sociable affair. It's a bit different.
Yes, I suppose it all depends what you're looking to achieve, isn't it? What the goal is for
having fun in the mountains with your mates.
Yeah, do you know what? It's just nails it on the head for me, really. Like, maybe, if you do it on your own, it's a bit different. You can stuff a little bit more, but totally just going out and having ace. I keep saying to like ace days in the mountains, whatever that looks like, doesn't matter, and just enjoying yourself, being safe, obviously, like kind of is paramount. I think understanding when it's not going to happen, when the day's not going to work out, and not being afraid to turn around, and being okay with that. And I've definitely done that. I've done that more times than I've had successes, I reckon, in previous years. And not just being okay with just having a good day and then, coming back, because it ain't going anywhere. They've been there millions of years and they're going to be there for a lot longer. So you might as well just wait until it's meant to be. And, a lot of people don't know it. The Bob Graham I actually set off 3 days before. Got to Sigurd, just wasn't in me, didn't feel it, turned around, came back down. I was probably out for a lot of weight to carry. There's a lot of gels carrying up Skiddaw just to turn around and not eat anymore, but that's a different story, isn't it? But
it's the turning around. That's the thing. We never talk about turning around. I mean, I remember being at Dunmail, so on the 24-hour record, putting Mark Hartel. I think Mark Hartel took 8 attempts to take that record off Mark McDermott.
Yeah.
So he'd gone through Dunmail and towards Langdale. 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes down on pace, and the weather's crapping out. Yeah. I remember the discussion happened to Martin Stone saying, "You're 2 minutes down on record pace, and the weather's going to crap out. Bin it now. Come back in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah,
give it a 10-hour training run." Rather than, another friend of mine's just gone round for Bob Graham overtime, because the weather crapped out. But it's the second attempt, so third time lucky. And
it always fascinates me that. Like, and maybe it's because we have the luxury of living here, don't we? Where people will come and do a bob, and I'm looking at the forecast and I'm thinking, fuck that. And actually, like, I do get it, but it does always fascinate me. I've seen, I've helped out on Bob Graham's where I'm like, we're lucky to get down Horsfell at this rate, and actually, they're fair play, they've dug in blind to get around it. And they've had the chips against them, and I suppose I can only give them full credit for that. But it does always sometimes. I'm like,
I've certainly been in a few where they've asked my opinion, and I've said, "Bin it," and you feel horrible saying that. I said, "It's not enough today. You'll go over time. What do you want to achieve?"
It must be hard for people if they're not local.
Yeah,
it is hard. Yeah, and it's
Families, they've got jobs, they've, you know,
You booked
I
your
suppose it's
Airbnb,
like
you've got your hire car, and you put your railway ticket, and I totally get it as well. But you know, it's
well, it's
good
like
stuff about
those people going to Everest, isn't it? Well, on a slightly smaller scale.
yeah. I guess I always just say
all the 3 peaks.
Yeah, have a plan B. You know, like go and do the T round or something that you can still. It's a really cool achievement, regardless.
Yes.
But maybe you're just not like, you know, you're not subjecting yourself unnecessarily to. I mean, it's going to be uncomfortable anyway, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But like, you know.
Well,
yeah,
I actually had to pull from the T round in a storm, and
yeah,
I got up white side.
yeah.
Did the out and back.
Oh, nice.
And then I could not stand up. I physically could not stand up in the wind.
Yeah.
And I had the mat with me as well. I had to turn around and go back to Buttermere. I was gutted because then, you know, I knew I had like 5-6 miles to go.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to go back. COVID, that happened the weekend before COVID.
Cool. We'll go next weekend. Let's make it happen.
And then I got old.
I'll bring the tea.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll do a squad effort. We'll do like a relay or something. That'll be great fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do it. Right.
I need a
Yeah,
Zimmer
I mean, oh, it's so good. So do you know what? Truth be told, so I did a T round the winter before with Steve, same winter I did with Steve Parr, right? But I actually missed out Rolling End. So, and my friend, I put it on Strava and I was like, yeah, great, sub 8 or whatever it was. Like, awesome day, loved it. And my mate's called me up and he's like, mate, I've got to tell you something. And I was like, go on then. He said, you've missed out a hill. And I fucking nearly cried.
No.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I've got to be honest, you know, I've got to own that. So I put it on, you know, said I've missed a hill, blah, blah, blah.
It's the harsh reality of being in the mountains, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I know several people who.
Which one was that? Rolling End.
It's like you go down to like Sale, don't you? Cragfell, you follow that line to like Rolling End. You have to do like a little out and back before you climb up to Barra.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what because I got to Sale and then turned round. So that's
fair play. Yeah. That must have been hard. That's so late into the round there as well.
I suppose in some ways GPX styles made things more finite like that, aren't they? Because you know historically the Bob Graham is like Nethermost Pike, for example. My yardstick is where's the true summit. Yeah, there's three significant cairns on that plateau near the edge. If in bad weather, I've gone across there. So if we get 2 out of 3, that's good enough. We've gone over Nethermost.
If you look at my Strava, it does this. It does a little triangle. So I've gone to all 3 just to remove any doubt. Like, we've gone round in circles. People must have thought I was flipping mad.
We have to own our decisions, don't we? I was out with another friend recently. She'd done all the weight. Thought she'd done she has done all the weight nights. But according to the Strava app, she hadn't done 7 or 8 of them. And one of them was Green Gable. So we went up on a spring day and got to the top of Green Gable. Sat down, had something to drink, eat, and took a picture of her at the top of Green Gable. The app still didn't register as being on Green Gable. So made a run 100 metres that way, 100 metres this way, run past, run through it, run around it. You know, still on the edge.
No, wait, how does it have this power?
We are... Yeah, you know, we are victims of this, aren't we? But I know she's been up Green Gable because I was there, but perhaps I was.
No, I do my Wainwrights manually. If Strava has me missing it, I'm sorry. I was there. I'm doing it manually.
Did Marion Irving get to the summit of Everest in 1924?
Well, that's I love that story. That sort of.
What was that?
Was Everest climbed in 1924 by Marion Irving? Disappeared on a descent.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't really matter because the summit.
I think he did. I think he did personally. I think he did. I'm pro. He definitely did. I don't know. I'd hope so. Be nice to find out. Wouldn't it?
Are you suggesting because it's not on Strava he didn't do it?
Don't count.
Fucking bloke. They pinch of salt.
Yeah, they're wasting the time, isn't it? Yeah, if you don't go on Strava, it don't count. That's what I keep getting told. So I actually, Jesus, the amount of times I've ran onto a hill and then had to touch every flipping pile of stone just to make sure that, because you do get inevitably for you sort of get the armchair Strava. I call them something else, but it's probably not okay for this podcast, so I won't say it.
It's fine.
Yeah, basically it. Yeah, the armchair. Like, oh, you've not missed this hill, and I'm like, well, listen, mate, I definitely did. So thanks very much because you're on Strava.
So yeah, that's the story of last winter. Someone doing but I don't think it was a winter. It was a Bob Graham solo, and the guy had gone on to Bowfell and basically turned back from that Middle Peak and then into Wasdale. I don't know, someone you might know, and he had a tracker on, and so his support team saw this, and they go into Wasdale to support him, and then he carries on and completes it. I think his dad was involved in the support team, and then
I heard this. Yeah,
had to say,
sorry, mate.
Yeah, and we didn't know whether to tell you at Wasdale or whatever, or perhaps they found out after Wasdale because it's like
it's a bit of a black spot there.
Honest and say he didn't go.
We
know, and they knew. It's like there's a middle lump on Bowfell, which is often people think it's the true summit, but if you know the summit, it's very distinctive. So it's like 300 meters short.
That's quite a distance, isn't it? So what do you need to do to ratify a Bob Graham? Does it have to be tracked?
No, it's I think it's still the old-fashioned rules was you had to be witnessed at every summit.
Witnesses, okay.
So in some ways you got 42 friends out on different summits, then you could run solo. Basically, you have a pacer on each leg who witnesses, and I think you still countersign a form, perhaps electronically.
Did he not have someone with him?
No, he was going solo. He thought he ticked it, but then, he's still got a great day out, and I think it's commendable. It's one of those mountaineering stories that, someone, and it was his dad, fell to his dad to say, "Look, well done, brilliant." He was 300 meters short on Bowfell.
Yeah. Will he go back?
I'm sure he has. He might have done it already before, because it's this progression. And some people do a standard Bob Graham, then you go and do it on a variation by whatever means you want to do it.
You definitely go back, wouldn't you? I know I would, for sure.
That's how I got into it as well. But
you just go back, wouldn't you? Be like, okay, I'll box it off, because you're a couple of days of recovery, a week and a half recovery, you'll be ready to go again. It would be a shame to have to go back just for that, but I guess like the club won't ratify it, will they? Otherwise, you see, they won't sort of aim.
No, I mean there was debate a few years ago, and I remember James Thorley sought my opinion on, or many of us, on when he started hiring out trackers as to what the reaction would be from the diehards of the club, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, it's not in the spirit of the event. So trackers go out and they're very useful. They're very, very useful for support teams to see when basically which valley you're going to bail out.
Yeah.
It's the main thing. But you can't just be ratified by a piece of tech.
It's interesting because I spoke to Martin Stone quite a bit in terms of what obviously I'm aware that like a solo round doesn't get ratified, so whilst I'm already a club member, it looks beautiful on your little profile thing, don't it? But it doesn't get ratified, which is totally fine. But I chatted to Martin like about what was the sort of expectation of a solo round was going to look like, and how that, because there's not the obvious bit is like to carry your own food and your own kit, and it's all that. But actually, sort of having chatted to Martin, I really liked it, because for me it was, I didn't have a tracker for a starter. My phone sort of stayed off, with the exception for I just told two people. So a really good friend, Steve Hopwood, who you might know, and his partner Lauren, because they were in the lakes at the time, just from a safety perspective, in terms of, and I just said, look, my phone stays off. I haven't told anyone I'm setting off. I just messaged them on Christmas Day and said, FYI, at 3 a.m. I'm leaving Motorhorn. I'm going to go and do a solo unsupported Winter BJ. Can I message you at Dunmail Raise? Can I message you at Bowfell? And then I message you when I'm at Honister, just to let you know that I'm here and I'm safe. But other than that, and sort of clarified that with Martin in terms of, were we happy that that's what it was going to look like? Did I need pictures on every summit, etc., etc.? And Martin was obviously like really cool and was like, no, we don't need that. There's a high level of trust, isn't there, within the fell running community? If you say you've been to the top, you've been to the top. And for me, I would never question that.
And Martin's encouraged that sort of ethos and tradition totally, to do that.
Yeah, and I think it should be. I think that's if you're going to do it, I know Andy did the same, and Finley as well. We just sort of kept it amongst ourselves. I didn't even know they were doing it. Neither did they, and we just sort of set off unchallengedly and just went and had this amazing day in the mountains, and that sort of fits within. For me, it's not about putting it on Instagram and doing all that sort of gumph. It doesn't sit well. That's not a solo unsupported round. You know, like I don't know.
I find all this absolutely fascinating because I think of people who are constantly on social media during a race or an event.
But fucking, I got no time for it.
Yeah, exactly. But also they're getting a huge amount of support. So we would.
Yeah, but that's not that's support, isn't it? So if you wanted to be, if you wanted to sort of like be fickle, I'd be like, if I got a message from a flipping grand saying, "Go on, Jack, well done," and then
it is support.
Ethically. And do you know what? I feel really sorry. So if whoever was on Helvellyn on Boxing Day and you're listening to this, I'll apologise right now. But like, I didn't speak to a single person because I was like, my luck is right that I will chat to somebody out of politeness, and then they'll see me on, I don't know.
Yeah.
It isn't
that the same years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I spoke to nobody. Yeah.
Solo Bob and one of my colleagues popped up on Hill Crag.
Yeah.
And first off, he said, "You're running a bit late, aren't you?" I was like, "Well, that's not nice." And he ran about 300 meters, and I said, "I'm supposed to be solo today."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, what this is?
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, but this is back in black and white days before the internet. So
I felt really bad. People like wishing me Merry Christmas and all that, and I was just like running past them like completely. Felt awful.
Day ever to me.
Yeah, if they're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I wasn't being a bell end, I promise. You know, if you got this far into it, you probably know I'm not. And actually, even then, when I did it, I messaged Paul Wilson and sort of said, before this goes live, can you have a look at this? And you know, he sort of like said, yeah, great. He said, interesting, you've gone to both summits on S Pike. I said, yeah, just to sort of satisfy the Strava wankers, you know, and he was like, yeah, happy days, we're happy at that. And he, you know, again, he sort of said, just to echo what Martin said, you know, we don't sort of ratify these attempts, but it'll get acknowledged at the meeting club. And again, it's just, I suppose, again, it's just that thing of like keeping it within the ethics. So I think the club, particularly at the moment, are really, because I don't know if you've noticed this, Joe, in recent years, like some of the support crews that I've seen, especially on like leg ones and you know, over there's hundreds of people, isn't there? You know, it's almost like military missions of like, you know, people all over, and actually I think they've got to a point now where the club are like, it just needs to be 2 people on each leg. That's it, you know.
It's sad. It's sad that they have to. As a society or as a group, we have to start writing rules for things which
it's mad, right?
Mainly obvious to other people, but the big attempts. Yeah, this is why I stopped pacing a while back. But yeah, you go along as navigator and whatever, and you find you've got 2 contenders and three support runners, and you think, you know, I agreed to come and pace 1 person or 2 people, and this has become, you know, you've got dumbbells getting trashed with massage tables and feather flags and fire pits and.
Oh, no.
You're not even 25 miles in and you need a massage. You probably to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean?
Get to tent box, you know, dry roads.
Sorry, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? But then if you're sitting there asking for a massage that close into the round, then I don't know.
But we have to police this ourselves as athletes. You know, this is there was a question on last weekend with 13 Valleys recce. Someone said, and it's an honest question to myself and Colin Murphy as race director. So there's no spectators allowed at Estelle checkpoint, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But does this mean my husband can meet me 100 meters down the road with the box and if I need to change shoes? So I turned it around and said, what do you think? What do you want your peers to do? But people do ask the question and then you have to make a ruling on it.
Yeah, mad that. Crazy. Yeah.
I just got to think about it. I said, you're going to go Estelle, you are going to be Estelle at 1 a.m, and you've got this notion that you're going to come into a lay-by 200 meters from the checkpoint. And there's not many lay-bys in Estelle. And if you're in a lay-by at 1 a.m in Estelle in someone's gateway, you're going to inconvenience someone. So no, you know. And Colin basically lets me say no to what I think is a very obvious question. Yes, no spectators in checkpoints doesn't mean you can hang around outside, but that's what we get. You know, we've got to be self-policing, haven't we?
Yeah, funny, isn't it? Do you know?
Always
like, give an inch, take a mile, maybe, isn't it? Do you know? I suppose. Yeah. It's a bit of a funny one, but hey, that's just people in general sometimes, isn't it? Like they'll just try and push the envelope a little bit, don't they? And try and
and I think I've seen a track record now. Like events have to come out with a ruling. 2020, it was 2011 and 2013 I did the Lakes 100, and those are the years when they basically stopped spectators, or did they? At certain points in support, because 13 Valleys, they didn't want to do it last year because they want to grow the brand, want to grow the event, get more people involved. So if they're not quite a fay with the narrow roads of the Lake District, I think I've said this before. If you're in Milton Keynes, the example we talked about before, when you've got a spare pub car park and a B&Q retail park every 2 miles that you can rock up and get your support team in, that's fair enough. But you ain't got that in Rosdale or Estelle. Bob Graham's well known for people taking the piss.
How many of these events are actually unsupported? Or and I don't race, so I just thought sorry, mate. I just thought sorry, Kate.
I noticed that. It's just me trying not to be wholly cynical, and the industry is growing, and there's more and more events which are the habits and the culture is coming into the mountains. If you Thames Path race or whatever, which can accommodate lots of people driving around and crewing. The dreaded C word. Kate knows my thoughts on the C word. It's just not sustainable in the mountains.
No.
Support.
I just wonder does it create that, just thinking there, mate, sorry. I wonder, does it create that level of expectation that every time someone goes walking in the hills or whatever that looks like, that there's going to be all this flipping, I don't know, sweet shops or whatever it is installed? Yeah. Are we creating this sort of misillusion that actually?
I don't think we are, but I think
not us. Sorry, no. So is it creating that sort of them?
I think event companies do, because if
that's what I'm saying.
Event company will think of anything, more and more stuff to basically sell. To their clients. I'm going to be critical now. I think I saw the Lake 100 now. They put something out on social media. You're getting little neck tags. Little. I thought it was a safety tag with your number on in your blood group, but it wasn't. Right. It just says, "This is a legend. If found, please return to Coniston." Just a bloody piece of junk, isn't it? Let's be honest. But people love it. I've got friends who are now rolling their eyes at this. Who are really into that. And
sorry, where are these tags going?
They look, unless again I've just dreamt it. It's a metal like a old American style GI.
Like dog tag,
on a chain, like a dog tag. Dog tag.
Yeah. Okay, right.
And it's got the branding on the front, and on the back it just says "Legend. If lost, if found, please return to Coniston." So it doesn't have your name on it, your number, your phone number. It doesn't have any practical thing apart from being another piece of merch.
Right.
Yeah. Funny, isn't it? People are just expecting more, I guess, aren't they? I wonder. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway,
more again. I don't know. Yeah, I don't race, so I don't know.
But this is that line, though, isn't it? I mean, this is where you've got people coming up the line of experience from trail running through races. A lot of people from wherever they've come from, they don't know about navigating, they don't know about the hills, but they want to run this race, and so they will pick a race that does it all for them, so they don't have to know about
but we're creatures of habit. So what you've done the race before and you get X, Y, and Z, so you go to a bigger race, you're going to X, Y, and Z plus A, B, and C. Or you can come to my race and just get X. Tour of Helvellyn has that USP where it is a very sociable race. Saturday before Christmas sells out just because of that, because it's a social gathering of the year.
Maybe you should get me a place, Joe.
Yeah, it's better than people tell me. It's better than Christmas shopping.
Yeah,
that's why we started it.
I can believe that. Yeah. Maybe you should get me a place. Get me a place. I'll go and run it. I don't know. I guess again, it not sound like a broken drum. It just boils down to that people are having a good, as long as they're safe and having a good time out and they're enjoying themselves, and that all that other bigger picture stuff of the impact that's probably going to have on them. And what an amazing achievement as well.
It is, and by buying into an event, you are getting lots of good services as well in terms
Yeah,
of facilities
100%,
and
yeah.
some medical and safety and food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So it's not.
and there are some people that are doing amazing. So I think it's fair play to people. Like, they are just getting out, and they might never go and do a Bob Graham or flipping Steve Parr or Wainwright's or whatever that looks like, but in 25k might be, or 50k or 10k or even 5k, to be fair, that is still a massive achievement. And I always wonder sometimes, you kind of have to, I'm particularly bad at this, forgetting where I've come from, and once upon a time I would have died on a park run. To be fair, I probably would. But if they're fair play to people, good on them if they get out. And if they choose an event and it's done well, and they do the research and they take a bit of time to just make sure that they're picking something that's done right, then I think it's great.
Who knows, what it will lead to, whether from your first
Absolutely.
stay in the mountains. Well, gentlemen, I've just seen the time. We've been talking for hours almost.
I'm going to edit this down.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to. No, I'm not. No. I can't be bothered. No. I'll. No.
I haven't got any friends. What, it's an hour and 20 minutes? I haven't got any friends who can run that far.
Well, no, I think an hour and 20 minutes. That's that's.
It's quite nice having
8, 9, 10
discussion.
miles.
We've not properly met before. It's quite nice just to have an open forum, I think, rather than.
Well, we can do a little plug. I mean, obviously, Joe, you do your mountain safety courses, NAV4 Adventure. Go to his website if you're interested in learning more about navigation. And Jack, I think for the other end of the scale, if you want to go and climb a mountain, Jack is your man.
Yeah, give Joe a shout.
No.
You take her up the steep stuff, you.
Be careful there. Yeah.
Well, both. Thank you very much. It's been fascinating talking to you both and listening. I'm listening to either end of the scale.
Yeah, but good to meet you last year, and cheers, Katie. Thanks again.
Good to meet you. Take care.
Cheers, Jack.
Take
care,
Kate.
Kate.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.